Our next speaker is Keith Rothfus, a graduate of Notre Dame Law School. Keith has served with the Department of Homeland Security, providing relief services during natural disasters such as Katrina. He is also a marathon runner, raising thousands of dollars for charity. As a little aside, Keith is running for Congress this year in the 12th Congressional District of Pennsylvania. Keith. And Elsie.
Bringing my bride along here. She goes. You get a twofer with us. So thank you. It's an honor to be here with you today. This mandate, it's a problem. And it's a big problem. But it's not the problem. The problem is when the federal government believes it has the power to dictate to the citizens of this great country what they can and cannot purchase. The problem is when the federal government believes it has the power to force citizens of this great country to violate their beliefs. The problem is an all-powerful bureaucracy dictating every aspect of our health care that steamrolls everything in its wake, including our First Amendment freedoms. I'd like to read from you a letter I wrote to Secretary Sebelius when I learned of this administration's attempt to violate our rights. Dear Secretary Sebelius, Pittsburgh is a fascinating place with a diverse ethnic and religious makeup, several universities and leading corporations. The history of Pittsburgh is grounded in religious tolerance. William Penn founded Pennsylvania so that people could freely practice their beliefs without government intrusion. That tradition has endured throughout our history. I happen to be Catholic, and the story of Catholics in Pittsburgh is nothing short of inspirational. Catholics were among those who worked the mills that made the steel that built this country and won 2 world wars. Catholics fought and died in those wars, and others. Catholics did so out of the firm conviction that their government supported them. It was not a government that would interfere with the sincere practice of faith, as some of the regimes they fought against. Rather, the American government would permit Catholics to worship freely. For the first time in our history, our government, and the Secretary's actions in particular, have broken faith with those convictions. Catholics, at great expense, run hospitals, schools, universities, nursing homes, and other social services. In doing so, the Catholic Church employs thousands of people in Pittsburgh and across the nation. For over 100 years, the Catholic Church has provided for the health care needs of its employees without disagreement or controversy. Now the Obama administration has intervened in that sacred trust between the Catholic Church and its employees. Neither the Church nor the employees have asked for this. With due respect, the Obama administration should stay out of the relationships between the Church, its members, and those that it employs. The tolerance I spoke of in my letter, the tolerance we have for religious freedom here in Pennsylvania and America, led to the flourishing of faith-based institutions and those motivated by their faith. We are still blessed with countless examples of the work they have done and continue to do to help all aspects of our community. Since 1872, for example, the Little Sisters of the Poor have been caring for the elderly here in our community. Just several years ago, Catholic Charities opened a free health care clinic downtown. You may know Mike Aquilina. He's an author here in Pittsburgh. He talks about the breadth of the Catholic presence here in Pittsburgh, and it's not just limited to helping with health care. He spoke of a priest about 100 years ago who stood up for the rights of workers. That was Father Kaczynski. Mike wrote, "One voice dared to speak out for the workers. Father Kaczynski could not be silenced. Even the state constabulary would not dare enter his church. Although influential people made many attempts to shut him down, he survived every one of them, and he preached fiery sermons to the workers in Slovak, comparing them to the Israelites in their bondage. So you coming here, standing up against this mandate, is not just about the Catholic Church, and it's not just about religion. This ultimately is about the freedoms we as citizens of the United States have fought for and continue to expect to continue. To that point, our former ambassador to the Vatican, Mary Ann Glendon, had this to say about the mandate. More is at stake here than the mission of all churches, including the Catholic Church, to provide social services like health care and education to everyone, regardless of creed, and to do so without compromising their beliefs. At the deepest level, we are witnessing an attack on the institutions of civil society that are essential to limited government and are important buffers between the citizen and the all-powerful state. And again, it's not just the Catholic Church, and it's not just those of us who consider ourselves conservative. Noam Neusner wrote an eye-opening piece in the Jewish Daily Forward addressed specifically to liberal Jews. The Obama administration has held and continues to hold that if a religious institution wants to serve the community as a whole and employ people who do not subscribe to their faith, what they do is functionally not a religious mission at all, but a public one. In other words, you can practice your faith when it applies only to you. When it applies to other people, you can't. Given the special freedoms from state oversight and control accorded to religion under the laws of our Constitution, freedoms which have served the Jewish people particularly well, this is a significant assertion. So you see, the problem is not, the mandate is not a problem, and it's not the problem. The problem is a threat to our freedoms from a too powerful federal government. And this threat has a broad and wide-sweeping effect on all of us. The freedoms we hold so dear did not allow just the Catholic Church to flourish here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Countless institutions have found this to be fertile ground. From the Jewish Family and Children's Service of Pittsburgh to schools like Geneva College, which set up shop in Beaver County 130 years ago, to African American churches that were the bedrock of their neighborhoods and the conscience of a city as racial barriers were broken down and integration took place. So I leave you today with the words of the advocates of freedom sang across the South 50 years ago. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Ain't nothing wrong with my mind stayed on freedom. Oh, there ain't nothing wrong with keeping my mind stayed on freedom. There ain't nothing wrong with keeping your mind stayed on freedom. I'm singing and I'm praying with my mind stayed on freedom. Yeah, I'm singing and praying with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
God bless you and God bless this great country. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. That was great. Our next speaker, and also